Ahava blessings. Welcome to this episode of Embodying the Shekhinah. This podcast is here to support us, to guide us during these times of accelerating, intense energy, of ascension energies, in order to integrate, embody, remember our soul essence. I'm your host. My name is Arya. I am an ordained Magdalene priestess, a Reiki master, energy and sound alchemist. And this is the episode where we are going to talk about the new energies that are streaming in for this new lunar cycle of Shabbat Aquarius. So grab some tea, grab a little cacao, grab something that's going to allow you to go into your heart, as we really need a lot of this heart-centered energy as we're going into this new lunar cycle. This new moon is the first new moon of 2026. If you didn't catch the episode where I share about the astrology of 2026 and how it's connected to the Aleph, the One, do check that out later. But back to the new moon in Aquarius. It is happening on the 18th, Sunday, January 18th, 2026 at 11:51 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 2:51 p.m. in the afternoon Eastern Standard Time, and for our friends in Europe at 8:51 p.m. in the evening. It is happening at 28 degrees of Capricorn, so the final degrees of Capricorn, which means we are going into this new lunar cycle of Aquarius of Shevat with a lot of Capricorn energy. And why is this important? We actually need the grounding energy of Capricorn. We have the sun and the moon conjunct at 28 degrees of Capricorn, which is what makes it a new moon, in conjunction with Mercury, 26 degrees of Capricorn, Venus at 1 degree of Aquarius, 26 degrees of Capricorn is where Mars is at, and Pluto is at 3 degrees of Aquarius. So we have a very powerful conjunction in the final degrees of Capricorn, going into the beautiful Aquarian energy. I'm trying to think of where would be the best place to begin. We know that Aquarian energy is a humanitarian energy. It is about the collective. It is about progressive ideals. It is about humanitarianism. It is about innovative thinking. It is about science and technology as well as communication. We are currently in the age of Aquarius, the age of the Holy Spirit, the age of this infinite awakening in human consciousness. So we have all this wonderful mental, analytical energy of Aquarius that's an air element. However, in order to ground anything into reality, we need grounding, we need stability, we need structure. And this is something that a lot of spiritual people have a hard time grasping. Because spirituality, if we think about spirituality, it is all up here in the ethers. It is all about fluidity. It is all about forward momentum. It is all about being up in the cosmos. It is all about the wonderful, grandiose ideas, the ways we can innovate and the ways we can create a new world. But translating that into the physical world for air signs can be very difficult if they don't have solid grounding and solid structure. In terms of the world, because Aquarius is about communication, science, and technology, we need to understand as a collective that the collective is not more important than the individual. And that is the big mistake that I see happening in this world. We're gravitating more towards thinking that, everything is oneness, everything is equality, and we're mistaking the fact that we all have infinite potential and we all are equal with equity, which means the same outcome. We are mistaking the fact that the collective is equal with everyone in the collective should behave, think, be, do, etc. in the same manner. When we do that, what we're doing is we are negating the individual gifts, capabilities, capacity that each individual brings to the table. How do I say this? The efforts of the individual are just as important as the collective. There is no need to lose yourself in the collective, in thinking that, we are all one, so it doesn't matter. We all have to be the same. No, we do not all have to be the same. We are not here to be the same. We are not here to impose our belief systems on anyone else. That is the opposite of spirituality. Or I should say, that is a spirituality that is ego-driven. In the shadow, Aquarius energy can be authoritarian, it can be controlling, it can diminish the individual for the sake of the collective. That is the shadow of Aquarian energy. This is not what we need to go into as a humanity, because it's not going to be pretty and it's not going to end well. We have the sun and the moon in conjunction. That means your inner self and your outer self. And a lot of the conjunctions are happening with the inner planets, which are the planets that affect the individual the most. That would be Mercury, Venus, and Mars, as well as the moon and the sun. Those planets affect us as individuals on a greater scale than, let's say, Pluto. However, we also have Pluto in the mix here. So Pluto is lending the energy of death, rebirth, transformation, upheaval. There is also the Saturn energy that's coming in, because we have Uranus. No, not Uranus. It is Saturn that is in a trine with Jupiter. So we have the energy of growth, expansion, abundance, good fortune that is being tempered with Saturnian energy. And Saturn wants us to achieve, to accomplish our soul mission. The authenticity that Aquarian energy likes and that Aquarian energy in the shadow diminishes is the energy we should all be focused on honing. Wisdom, discernment, authenticity, allowing yourself to express yourself in the way that feels best to your soul, not in an ego-driven fashion, but in a heart-centered manner. Remaining in the heart is so critical at this time. We have everything outside of us that wants to divide us, and many of us are falling for that trap. We are falling for the trap that seeks to divide and conquer rather than uniting. Not because we need to unite only with people that agree with us on all of our beliefs. No, we need to unite as a humanity from a heart-centered place. Just because someone does not see the world like you do does not mean they are evil. This is the other mistake that we're falling into as a humanity. We are vilifying and dehumanizing other human beings for having an opinion, a perspective, a lived experience that is different than ours. And then arrogantly, we may be telling other people how they should be experiencing life, even though we never lived through their experiences. Case in point, this madness with Venezuela and Iran. Unless you have known people and had family in those places, I have had both. Okay? You don't know what you're talking about. And for any one of us to speak for them as if we know what they've been through and lived through is sheer madness and utter arrogance. It is the height of conceit. And I'm tired of it. I'm tired of any one of us, and I call myself on this bullshit every day as well. If you don't know what that other person has lived through, shut your mouth, open your ears, and listen. It's okay if it ruffles your feathers. It's okay if you don't agree with what they lived. However, don't try to tell other people that their experience is wrong, that you know how to do their experience better, because you don't. No, not a single one of us human beings in this world know how to walk in another person's shoes better than that person that actually did the walking. We don't. We need to actually cut the bullshit and cut down our own arrogance. The arrogance of thinking that you know better than someone who lived through something. If someone who lived through an experience is trying to share their experience and warn you, you should be quiet and listen. You should not be telling them, oh no, but this, oh no, but that, oh no. Shh, listen. That's what we should be doing. We should be listening to one another. We should be engaging in dialogue, actually wanting to know and seek out other perspectives. This is how Aquarian energy functions in its highest octave. Aquarian energy loves to intellectualize and to debate ideas. That is Aquarius's jam, because Aquarius is a very intelligent, very mental energy. How do we come from that energy of exchanging beautiful ideas to grounding them in reality? We come into that through the heart. We come into that through understanding that at the end of the day, every human being is equal. It doesn't mean being equal is not the same thing as all having the same things or experiencing the same things. Being equal means we are all equal. It does not mean that we all share the same experience and the same mindset, etc. We're not supposed to. We are not here to be... What are you excited about, boo-boo? My husky. My apologies if you hear him in the background. We are not here to be cookie-cutter clones of one another. We're not. We must elevate our intellect, ground our energy, understand that this energy, this month, is about redemption through unification. What does that mean? That means we elevate, expand, we achieve a higher level of embodiment. We heal past wounds. We elevate ourselves on multiple levels through creating the unity of the masculine and the feminine within, through uniting polarities. The polarity of Aquarius is Leo. Leo is the energy that wants to be seen, very creative, very outgoing, very generous, very magnanimous energy. Very royal, regal energy. Leos are amazing. I love Leo energy. This is the energy that needs to balance out Aquarius. Aquarius needs to find the middle ground between the value of the collective and the wisdom and the beauty that comes from the individual, not diminishing the fire of the individual for the sake of the collective. This is very important. We need to stop being martyrs We need to stop playing the victim. We need to call ourselves on our bullshit. We need to really be willing to have the humility to listen, to receive. Because wisdom, the wisdom from the higher realms, it's there for us. It's there for us to access and activate and allow it to activate our vessel. However, if we hold arrogance in our hearts, if we think that our way is the best way and everything else can go straight to hell, we are not going to receive that wisdom. Zadi is the Aramaic Hebrew creation frequency that created Aquarius. Zadi means righteous one. Zadi also means teacher. Yeshua, what the great ascended master, was called a Zadik, a righteous one. The energy of Zadi is one of wisdom, of divine justice, of righteousness. It is associated with the crown, which indicates, I know that we kind of have this thing of like nobility and monarchies and how they're so much above us. However, the true purpose of a monarchy, of being crowned in your sovereignty, which every one of us can be crowned in our own sovereignty, it is to have the wisdom to face the wisdom, to be humble enough to receive the wisdom, and to be strong in your faith to be able to weather any storms. So again, it's not about the ego. It's not about the oh, look at me, look at how enlightened I am. That's the opposite of Zadi energy. That's the opposite of the light of this Aquarius energy. We want to create not for the sake of the ego, but for the sake of the light of creation that we all are a part of. Zadi also, Aquarius energy, also has to do with our sexual creative energy, the awakening and the purification of our sexual creative energy. Why do I say purification? It's not because there's anything wrong or dirty with sexuality or sexual energy. It is because as human beings, we live and we're born into a world of duality. That means most of us function within the lower chakras, within the need, the lust, the desire, from basically the ego down, from the solar plexus down. Satisfying our sexual urges, satisfying our lust, satisfying our egoic desire for more and more and more and more, and then there's never enough. There's never enough to satisfy us because we are living from the ego. This is what happens when our sexual energy, our creative energy, is not channeled. It is not purified. When you purify, you take on the spiritual practices and you take on the challenge of aligning with your higher self. You begin channeling that energy upwards. So rather than creating with your traumas, with your karmas, with your family lineage, with the patterns that are broken in your life, and you know they're broken because all they cause you is pain, suffering, discomfort, loss. That's how you know those patterns don't work. So we can continue to channel our energy downwards and have this energy basically be wasted and become fodder for lower dimensional beings and become basically a waste of your own life force. Or you can have the balls to undergo deep and profound transformation. And you do that by taking ownership of your life, by remembering your light, remembering who you are, remembering you are soul. Before you were even human, before you took on the karmas of your family, the limitations of human form, the patterns of your upbringing, before you took on the social programs that you engage in every day, you were soul. You were one with the divine. This is the month to come back into that union. to birth a new world, a new experience, to transform your way of being, thinking, doing, experiencing the world into a place of sovereignty, into a place of newness, of expansion, of growth, of unification. We must unite the polarities, or it's not going to be a good show. We have to stop looking at facts as if they themselves are evil. We have to be willing as a collective to start doing our own research. Stop taking the word of whatever media outlet is being, saying whatever, or whatever celebrity you follow. Stop taking someone else's word for the reality we're living in, and have the courage to do your own work. Have the courage to look at things as they are and not be afraid because they contradict the way that you think things are or should be. That whole identifying with some belief system is played out. You are not your belief system. You are not your religion. You're not even who you think you are. You're not even, you took on this persona. You took on this life as who you are in this moment in order to evolve, to grow, to transcend, not to keep playing, repeating on repeat the same played out stories, the same played out records, because we lack the courage to actually say the truth, to speak the truth, and to actually look at the facts and have them, do they align with reality? Are these facts that I'm being shown, is that really what's happening? And if it doesn't align with your own personal belief system, then you might need to change your own personal belief system. It's as simple as that. That is how growth happens. Growth happens by looking at those places within us that cause us the most stress and the most grief, and honestly looking at them, listening to them, taking care of them, and then seeing how we can integrate that into a greater aspect of ourselves. That's how growth happens. It's in those challenges. It's in those moments where your entire world has to crumble in order for you to erect a solid foundation that is grounded in reality. And there are certain truths that are fundamental to our physical world. There just are. You don't have to like them, but there are truths. There are biological truths. They are physical truths. They are spiritual truths. There are many, many different truths. And just because your feelings don't align with them doesn't mean that they are not true. We are doing so much damage by negating actual physical, biological truths. Thinking that the solution is at the bottom of a pill, or at the bottom of a syringe, or at the bottom of a bottle. Whatever it is that your drug of choice is, whether it's homeopathic or whether it's a weed or whatever it is. When we escape and think that something outside of us is going to save us, we've fallen for the trap. It's done. However, just because it's already happened, that we went down that rabbit hole and things didn't end up well, doesn't mean that we do not have the opportunity to course correct. Every moment we have the opportunity to transform, to align ourselves with truth, to align ourselves with harmony, with love, to stop canceling one another, particularly our family members, because, they voted for the orange guy and the orange guy bad. No, we gotta cut the bullshit, particularly as Americans. There are certain things that are wrong. If there are ideologies out there that hate you and that want to behead you and to kill you, then you need to call a spade a spade. It is what it is. You can't just pretend you're in La La Land and align with ideologies that don't align with creation. There are certain ideologies in this world that are not of the light. They are not in alignment with creation. You can see with your own eyes how it's not in alignment with creation. Why? Because you have women being abused, being treated like chattel, being raped and abused, and children being married off young, and women being seen as expendable. You have people that view certain orientations as wrong and they should be put to death. These are not ideologies that align with creation and align with the light and align with goodness. You can tell from the effects and the way that these people behave. And we should all be very mindful not to fall for whatever the latest slogans are, because those slogans are going to be the noose around our neck. We must liberate ourselves. We must go into this new year with eyes wide open. And I'm not just talking about your physical eyes. This is why we began this year with Tevet, which is the Ayin, seeing with the spiritual sight, truly seeing with the inner sight, the sight that is not clouded by whatever the latest fad is, the true sight. This is the month that is aligned with creation. This is the month that is aligned with the Garden of Eden. The Garden of Eden is our true primordial self, the place where we as a humanity began. Whether you believe in God, Goddess, the fact of the matter is, creation did happen. Whether you believe it happened because God, Goddess, created man through the word, or whether you believe that it was the Big Bang, which is also a sound and a frequency, doesn't matter. It's still the same thing. Creation happened. There was a womb. That's how I see the Garden of Eden. There was a womb that gestated creation and humanity. And this is the energy of this month. It is the Bereshit. The Bereshit is the first word of the Genesis, creation, creating infinitely. We have the opportunity to come back to our primordial selves. This is the redemption through the unification that I spoke about. Coming back to your primordial self. Stopping the nonsense of thinking that we are defined by our socioeconomic status, the money in the bank, our job, whatever, or how spiritual we are, how many ceremonies we've done. That is not a defining characteristic of enlightenment. If you think it is, you are in your ego, and you need to check yourself before you wreck yourself. This is not the time for the ego. This is a time to really align with your light, align with your soul, align with creation. Because there are lots of hijacked people running about in the world. And I don't usually talk about this because I don't want to pick sides and I really want to be neutral. However, like I said, it's time to call a spade a spade. There are hijacked individuals, there are hijacked movements, there are hijacked ideologies, absolutely. We must develop the discernment, the wisdom. We must have the humility to have the wisdom, to receive the wisdom, to have the discernment, to take action in the way that is in alignment with our soul and with the light, with creation, not with our ego, not with whatever the latest fad is. Because the thing is, human beings, we're masters. We're absolute masters at creating something new for people to follow along with. And a lot of people are sheep because we like to belong, because we're human beings. It's natural. Human beings want to belong. They want to be a part of a community. Just be very careful what community you belong to. That's all I'm going to say about that, because there are certain things that are in alignment, and then there are certain things that are not. And if anything or anyone tells you that there is only one way to be, one way to express, one way to receive enlightenment, then you really should be kind of shaking your head and wondering what the hell's going on there. Because there is no one way. There is no cookie cutter solution that is going to fit everything and everyone. There just isn't. Because we are human beings that were born with individual gifts, with different sparks of the divine, with different aspects of creation. We are here to express and to birth into the physical world. We are not here to be the same. So therefore, there is no one solution, one path to enlightenment for everyone. It was actually my biggest pet peeve. I grew up Buddhist and Nichiren Soka Gakkai Buddhist, which I no longer follow at all, because I have a huge problem with proselytizing, because it's insincere, it's inauthentic, and it puts that person that's proselytizing in a position of, I'm the master, you are the student. I know better how you should be living. And it irks me to no freaking end, that mentality. To have the arrogance to think that you know better than someone's lived experience, how they should be living. No, you don't. You don't know. This is why I completely switched paths. Well, one of the reasons. But that's my biggest problem with organized religion, is the dogma and is the proselytizing. If anything, any guru tells you, well, there's only one way and you have to do it this way. You have to have this amount of whatever in the bank that you give us. No, I call bullshit on all of that. There is no one way. There are teachers who will guide you into you knowing yourself, into you experiencing your light, your soul, your alignment with the divine. That is what you should be looking for. Who is going to allow you the space to express the light that you came here to express in a way that is uniquely and authentically expressive of you, without guilting, without shaming, without the bullshit, without any of that? Who in your life can support you in that way? That is what you want to look for. Not for a religion or a dogma or another layer that's going to keep you veiled. This is the other thing that's being shifted during the cycle. The veil is lifting. More and more, the bullshit is being seen for what it is, and a lot of us don't like it. And it is what it is. And it's happening for a reason. We are seeing the truth with our own eyes for a reason. Because if we weren't able to see it, we can't change it. If we don't recognize the frequency that we are seeing, then we can't decide with eyes wide open whether we want to align with it or not. It is up to us, every single one of us, to allow ourselves to awaken, to allow ourselves to be illuminated through humility, through faith, through surrender. This is a time for new beginnings, healing, purification, optimism. Aquarius is the water bearer. In biblical astrology, Aquarius is John the Baptist. John the Baptist is the one who brought down the pure sexual waters of creation into our body vessels. It is the energy of that purification of our sexual energy, that channeling of our energy into the higher realms. This is one of the functions of the Zadi, which is the Hebrew Aramaic frequency that created Aquarius. The bait is the energy of birthing, of creation, of really birthing into physicality whatever it is that you wish to manifest. So it's a powerful time to manifest. The Archangel Uriel, which is the Archangel of intelligence, illumination, and creativity, is the Archangel for this lunar cycle. And we are also working with the energies of Sarah Tamar. Sarah Tamar is the Christ, the child of Yeshua and Mary Magdalene. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to share a video where I delve into the archangels. Don't know why I'm being called to do that, but I am being called to do that. We have the energies of co-creation with, this is it's a 1 year, but it's also a 1 moon. So we are in an energy that wants complete unity with the divine, with the soul. And it's the energy of the one is the soul that remembers that we are one with the divine and has that confidence to know that that is our truth. We come from source, God, goddess. We are one with divine essence. And this is the beauty of this new year and this new lunar cycle. We are again coming back to that one, to the Aleph, to the bridge between heaven and earth. Because the Aleph unifies heaven and earth. And I also want to share this. This is something that I find is very beautiful, and it was shared by my teacher Anna. One of the cycles that, one of the Allah Hashalah's ceremonies that we did for the new moon way back when. And it talks about the Garden of Eden, because remember, the Garden of Eden is associated with Aquarius. And it says, this is from the Genesis 3:2-6. The woman said to the serpent, "We may eat fruit from the trees in the garden, but God did say, you must not eat the fruit from the tree that is in the middle of the garden, and you must not touch it, or you will die." "You will not certainly die," the serpent said to the woman, "for God knows that when you eat from it, your eyes will be opened, and you will be like God, knowing good and evil." So, for this, to understand this passage, I really would like you to grasp that when we speak of masculine and feminine are energies. So, the energy that ate the apple from the tree, or the pomegranate, depending on the tradition, the energy that ate that fruit was the energy of the feminine. This is the energy of the feminine within the masculine and the feminine. So there is no, oh, well, it was just the woman. No, it's the feminine energy within the masculine and the feminine. And what does it mean to be like God, to know good and evil? That means to be able to discern and to know how to see through duality, how to unite duality. Pardon me, didn't turn it off. So before the fall from Eden, masculine and feminine energies were in balance. With the loss of the sexual energy, the feminine aspect within both men and women became attached and crystallized into the material world, losing the spiritual. This caused the falling asleep and a desire to generate sensual pleasure and creation for the sake of the ego, instead of elevating the sexual energy inward to generate love. So before the fall, masculine and feminine energies within humanity, Adama, were balanced. They were in harmony. After the fall, these energies, these sexual creative energies, were out of alignment. Because to understand, like to think that you are like God, you need to have the infinite capacity. In a human form, we don't have infinite capacity. We are more likely to be swayed by our physical senses because we are in a human body. So, of course, the fall had to happen. The fall had to happen because without the fall, we wouldn't experience duality. But without the fall, the soul wouldn't learn and expand the way it can learn and expand in this world, experiencing duality. This is why so many souls want to incarnate here on earth, because the depth and breadth of experiences are so varied. They don't exist in other realms. So the soul chose to come down into a human form to experience duality in a physical form. And not just to experience duality and the forgetting, but to see if you can come back into union, if you can come back into the remembrance of your soul, the remembrance of the truth that you are infinite. You are infinite oneness with the divine. At any point you can connect to the divine. It's a matter of the intention, and it's a matter of the faith, and it's a matter of having the humility to take full ownership of your life and recognize that every single one of us is equal and good, and every single one of us is also uniquely messed up, because we all have our tikkun, we all have our correction that we must make, because that is part of what we chose when we incarnated. To deny that is to deny the mission, to deny the reason why you incarnated. And every human being came into the world of physicality with unique gifts, unique talents, and a unique way to express. Why do I say a unique way to express? Because your physical body is the vehicle through which the soul expresses. And unless you're identical twins, you don't look and breathe and feel the same as someone else. And even with identical twins, each one of them may look the same on the surface or be genetically the same. However, the expression of their experience and their personality is going to be different. Honor your individuality. Honor your authenticity. Express your authenticity. Break away from the herd. And that's what I just saw. So I just saw a sheep. I think it was a sheep, but basically an animal in a herd breaking away from the herd. Break away from the herd mentality, or the lemming mentality, because a lot of lemmings are just running off that cliff. A lot of lemmings are doing that right now. And you can talk to the lemmings and you can try to tell them, there might be a different way of doing this. However, the lemming doesn't want to listen. It doesn't want to listen, because we all have free will. So remember that. We have free will. And develop, hone wisdom. Have the humility to seek out wisdom. Have the humility to call yourself out on your BS. Allow yourself to receive. Allow yourself to align with your heart, with your soul. Allow yourself to express yourself authentically from a heart-centered space. Recognize when you are in the ego and when you're not. And strive to not be in the ego. Many things that are happening in this world are not about you. Even your own experiences that you're having. Someone may be responding in a certain way to you. It's most likely not about you at all. I would venture to say 99.5% of the time, it's not about you, because every human being has their own eyeglasses, their own veil, their own perspective through which they view, the own lens through which they view the world. And it is all based on their own karmas, their own traumas, their own stuff. And if they have not chosen to work out their stuff, they're going to project all of their own limitations onto you. Learn to recognize when someone is doing that. Learn to recognize when something is your stuff and when you're taking on other people's energy. It is very important to work with your energy and to know how to cleanse, to clear your own energy, and how to hold your energy in its purity and its, I was going to say pristine, but there's another word that is eluding me in this moment. But you want to hold your energy, integrity, that's the word. You want to hold the integrity of your energetic field. Not because someone else's energy is bad, but because we want to know what's ours. You want to know and be clear on what you are dealing with, what you yourself are here to work with. You don't want to take on other people's shit. And that's the thing. The moment that we try to save other people, we start taking on their stuff. And I don't know about you, but I have plenty of my own stuff to be working on. I do not need to take on anyone else's stuff. So if you're like me, you got your own stuff you're working on, strive to not take on other people's things. Allow people to make their own mistakes, to do their own thing, because every single one of us is here to express our light however we're here to express it. There is no judgment that we are here to bestow on anyone, because we are not the creator. We are not here to judge or to shame or to guilt anyone else. We're not even here to do that to ourselves. So be kind to yourself. Allow yourself to be gentle with yourself. We've all made mistakes. We've all hurt people. We've all done things that you look back and you're like, oh shit, I did that. Ooh. And it makes you cringe. We've all done that. We've all been there. It doesn't mean that we have to continue beating ourselves up because of past mistakes. Own them. Evolve beyond them. Integrate them. Learn from them. And change. Transform. Be willing to rebirth yourself. Be willing to arise from your own ashes like the phoenix. Be willing to transform. Be willing to purify. Be teachable. Be willing to adopt new ways of being that are more in alignment with your light and with your soul and with the authentic expression of your being. This is this energy of this Aquarius portal. It's a very powerful portal. There are a few dates I did want to mention because things are getting real, particularly here in the US. It's freaking wild. But I do want to say the veil is lifting, so this is a good thing. On the 20th, Venus is conjunct Pluto in Aquarius. So we want to look at the way we love, the way we receive, the way we give love, look at how we create, and allow the energies of Pluto to bring us a breath of fresh air and a rebirth in how we create and how we embody love and how we share love. On the 23rd, Mercury is conjunct Pluto. Allow Pluto to obliterate. Yes, that's the word. Obliterate old ways of thinking, being, doing, working things out in your brain. Allow Pluto to obliterate the way that you think things should be. And allow Pluto to illuminate and rebirth you into a new way of thinking and a new way of expressing and communicating. The Sun is also conjunct Pluto that day. So complete revolution and transformation, spiritual rebirth, all the things for the physical self. The 27th, Mars is conjunct Pluto. That can be very, very fiery. So mind your manners. Mars can get very spicy, very feisty, very warrior-like. Mind your manners on and around the 27th. If you have particularly know where Mars is in your chart, because it's really important to know how that energy is going to be playing out, what it's going to be activating within your natal chart. So be very mindful with your words. Be very mindful with the action you want to take. I know that some of us want to burn things to the ground. However, burning things to the ground is not the best idea right now. So let's bring that Mars energy that wants to forward momentum and wants to do and wants to transform, but let's temper that with wisdom. And then we have on the 26th, Neptune leaves Pisces for Aries. The veil is lifting. Neptune has kept us in like this whole bubble of like illusion and thinking things that are real are not real. And it's been freaking wild. And in Aries, there's that push for truly seeing things the way they are and taking action to align ourselves with truth, to align ourselves with action, to align ourselves with growth and with a new way of expressing our spirituality and expressing our soul. Neptune is the soul that is not encumbered by the body, remember. So it's very important to be aware that the rose-colored glasses of Pisces are coming off. And that means for a lot of us, the gloves are coming off. And we're not pussyfooting around and just letting the same shit slide that we let slide when Neptune was in Pisces and when we were all kind of drugged up on the dopamine of Pisces, because Pisces likes to escape. So when we were all sticking our heads in the sand with Neptune going into Aries, there's no more sticking our heads in the sand. We are being confronted with reality, with very real physical, biological situations, and we're going to have to be willing to see them for what they are and to allow them to elevate and allow them to help us evolve. That is this very powerful energy. And I'm not going to call in the Civil War, but if you know, you know. It's a very volatile time when Neptune enters Aries. So I urge you with me to pray for wisdom, pray for peace, pray for the higher aspects of our humanity to illuminate us and to be birthed into the world through us. The highest aspect of and the highest expression of our soul, not the shadow. We want the highest expression of our soul, and that's what we are aligning to. This is also the lunar cycle of the frequency healing, of sound healing, of vibration. So your word, your thoughts, what you are doing, all of that has an impact on the collective, and it has an impact on yourself, on every cell in your body. So be very mindful of what you are nurturing your physical vessel with and what you are nurturing your world with. The relationships that we have in our lives are so important. They are the mirrors through which we grow. So nurture them. If we want them to grow, we need to pay attention. We need to be mindful. We need to be present. We need to be honest. We need to be authentic. And we need to embrace one another with love, with grace, and with harmony. And with that, this went much longer than I intended it to go, but it is what it is. It needed to come out the way it did, so I'm going to leave it the way it is. I thank you so much for joining me, for listening to me. I really hope that this gave you some enlightening areas, some enlightenment, some ways to illuminate and to elevate your own experience through listening to the energies that we're working with. Remember, these energies are here to work for us. They are not here, fatalistic, and they're not terrible, they're not bad. It's a matter of how we, as a conscious being, as a conscious co-creator of our reality, choose to work with these energies and to harmonize with these energies. And so, thank you so much for your presence. Don't forget to tune into the sound activation for this beautiful lunar cycle of Aquarius and Shevat. And as always, know your energy, hone your energy, develop discernment, have the humility to receive wisdom, and truly align with your light. Align and embody the light of creation that you are. Have a blessed day. Ahava. And of course, if you enjoyed this, like, share, and subscribe. And of course, you can follow me on Instagram at Audialara and at Embodying the Shekhinah, and on YouTube at Audialara. All of that is linked below, as is the sound activation. So do enjoy, and feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions. Ahava. Blessings.